Welcome to GyanSys Salesforce to SAP Connector demo. The Salesforce to SAP Connector is an application available on the Salesforce-SAP Exchange. It is the most versatile solution available to integrate complex SAP ERP data with Salesforce. Go to the App Finder or App Launcher. You will find the Salesforce to SAP Connector suite if you have already purchased it as software. You'll see 3 different solution modules depending on which licenses you've purchased. Our tool supports 3 different modules, including Master Data Connect, which covers all of your master data needs in Salesforce, as well as customer materials, equipment, and more. Next is Sales Connect, which covers the sales module. Depending on the requirements, you can synchronize orders, code, invoices, and more. Then you have more advanced solutions for Salesforce Field Service Connect, which gives you the ability to synchronize pricing, bill of materials, work orders, and more. So let's review what a typical module looks like. If we go to Master Data Connect, you will have 5 objects, or let's say business data, that you can set up for synchronizing with SAP. Let's click on the Admin tab and navigate to the Customer field. This is where you plug in and use a corresponding business system URL. Whatever communication user you define, you type in user and password. That's the first step to set up the connector. Now, let's navigate to the Customer tab. As you can see, every business object has a very similar structure here. The first tab refers to the object settings, where you can set the filter criteria, as in, what are the things you are synchronizing with SAP? What are the data points? And so on. For example, as a customer, am I synchronizing with the sold to, billed to, or shipped to? And if so, how are these mapped? And if it's mapped to a particular record type, that's mentioned here. This is where you mention if the customer is mapped to an account or any other object which you want to synchronize. More filter criteria are listed here, and you have this Delta Sync flag where you can include the archive flag. Including the archive means that if something is marked for deletion, let's say the customer is marked for deletion in SAP, you still might need to bring the data into Salesforce because someone may see there is a case or conflict because the product they procured needs to get serviced or looked at in the historical customer data. So you can still have the information synchronized with Salesforce. Then you have this Delta synchronization. So what this flag does is, when you're synchronizing, you can synchronize the full load, or you can synchronize only the data that got changed between the last synchronized date and today's date. Now, let's go to mapping. For mapping, this is the default data page where you map between your SAP fields and your Salesforce fields. It's a pretty easy tool where we are providing a default mapping here. If you can see, most of the fields are already covered here with the default mapping. You can add or remove mappings as needed. It's flexible. That completes the Mapping tab. Next, we have the Replication tab. The Replication tab has 3 modes in which you can replicate. You have full load, you have batch setup, and you have ad hoc replication. Full load is used for the time when you're running synchronization. You want to run the entire load instead of just what changed between your last synchronized data and today. You are running the entire set of data defined in the filter settings in the Object Settings tab. Then, you can click on the Mass Sync from SAP here to trigger a full synchronization. Let's say yes. What this does is start the synchronization process. Let's hit Replication Setup. You'll see that there is a bar that has come up here showing that it is proceeding. When this is done, you can see the success or failure of the data by clicking on the Show Batch Logs tab. And so, as you can see, I can now open the log number and see the results. This will tell you what exact data has been successful or what data has failed. If something failed, you'll have something captured in these files. You can open the details and see what went wrong. That's a logging mechanism that is contained within the software. Now, coming back to the synchronization screen, you can see that the data was successfully synchronized. As you can see, on December 6th, file number 508 shows how much data was used, and you can see that we have 206 records successfully fully synchronized. Now, click on the Batch Setup tab. This is basically after the initial run. You will want to run this on a periodic basis. This gives an easy flexibility for the user or admin to define the synchronization, which happens on this particular date. You can define it to run every day at a certain period of time, or you can define it to run on a particular day of the week. Let's say Monday, and then set what time it should sync. You can then save this entire setup to automatically run the data as a weekly sync for you. Now let's move on to the ad hoc replication. Let's say you synchronize and something happened. It deleted some data, or there is some data issue. There are two options. Either you can wait till the next synchronization, or you can type the data that you want. You can search for a varied customer number, and once found, you will be able to synchronize. That's synchronized immediately. You'll replicate that data. So if you missed something, or an error happened, you will want to synchronize on an ad hoc basis. Let's click on the Enhancement Framework. This is a pretty great portion of the tool. This is the interface between Salesforce and SAP. There are three parts to it. There is a middleware, there is Salesforce, and there is SAP. If you want to make a change, you have to make a change in three places, and that's kind of a cumbersome task. You need a developer, developing money, and things of that nature. This software is a cost-effective way to eliminate those issues. Let's say you need to add a new custom field in the SAP section. This tool gives you the ability, within a couple of clicks, to make sure that a custom field is available in Salesforce and mapped without any code change. Now let's click Create New Custom Field. You can easily create a new field, so let's fetch the SAP fields. As you can see, it pulled up the fields from SAP. These are the custom fields that are available in SAP, and the system is asking, do you want to create a corresponding field in Salesforce? You can go ahead and select the Add Field to Salesforce and click on Create. It will add the field in Salesforce, and then you can go back to the mapping and this field will be available for you to map. It's that easy. After that, it will sync the data. For example, the custom field would have come under the section, and then you can map to the existing fields and the interface is done. Changing the interface is very easy if you use this tool. That summarizes the Master Data Connect. Similarly, if I go to the same tab, you have Materials and Equipment. If I go to the Sales Connect tab, you'll find sales relevant information like sales order, quotation, invoice, etc. Next, if you navigate to the SFS Connect tab, you have advanced modules like pricing, bill of materials, inventory, work order, location, and things of that nature. Next, click Any Data Connect. What this does is pull any SAP data, any table, and build a synchronization for it on the fly. Let's say I want to build a synchronization for KNA1 table in SAP. I can select this. It automatically pulls all the fields, and you can create the Salesforce objects. Also, you can set up the synchronization tool to run immediately. That is the beauty of this tool. Any tables, let's say you have a table which is not covered in any of the scenarios, for example, a customer master. Let's click on the Master Data Connect tab. Let's say you have a payment time you want to build. Instead of a proper interface, you can always create an interface on the fly by the click of a button. That's the power of this tool. If you go to any of the filters, any object, you will see that all these values say the account group is in the customer master. If you see these account masters and click on Add Filters, we see what all of the available values are that come directly from SAP. So tomorrow, let's say you make another category. This automatically will be available. Let's say there is an indirect communication outside the system through email or something like that. That's the beauty and the value of this application. That summarizes our demo of the Salesforce to SAP Connector application. For any additional questions, please reach out to the team of experts at GyanSys to learn more.